Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim.
On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Bennett and Mike we're together, which is cool. So we're in Bennett's studio, / garage. But I mean, it's cool. I dig it. I mean, it's a cool setup in here. Anyway, we wanted to tell you guys kind of what's going on. I'm out on the road again, 10-hour road trip up from Raleigh, North Carolina to Syracuse, New York, in order to visit some folks up here, meet with Bennett, do some face-to-face stuff, restructure, organize, get ready for a whole nother movement, so to speak. And we're doing this thing. If you're not already familiar and you don't follow us on social media yet, please do so at Cigars and Sea. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Especially on Instagram, where you're going to start to see a heck of a lot more of these Kilroy pictures. Folks have been showing their support, and I think credit goes to Rob. I think he was the one who came up with it first. Rob Elliott. Quick shout out. He was also on the show. You guys should check out that episode. He's a cool guy. Fellow Marine, farmer, but so much more. I mean, Agricultural Institute over at NCSU doing soldiers and ag. So it's really cool. Anyway, he held up his 5-paragraph business plan in order to show support, and we ask that you folks do the same. Grab your copy of 5-paragraph business plan. It's available right now on Amazon. You guys can check that out. It's 5, like the number 5-paragraph business plan. And the full name is 5-paragraph business plan, action-oriented business management tool for leaders. Because it's more than just doing like a baseline business plan. For sure. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to sit down and chat today. And in chatting today, I wanted to talk a little bit about SMEAC and how it breaks out. But I also wanted to touch on Kilroy. And if folks want to show their support anonymously, but still show their support to 5-paragraph, text us, PM, do whatever. We're pretty responsive on social media. I mean, at least we try to be. It's one of those things. You guys are awesome at maintaining the conversation, cross-talking, getting together. That's really what we're all about, is being able to kind of co-mingle as a group. So check out the Cigars and Sea Stories page. If you like it, you want to be part of the Cigars and Sea Stories listeners group, it is a private group. We welcome folks to, how do you put it, like apply for membership? That's not it. It's not even that. I mean, you just request. Right. Right. He's better at this than I am. Your mic cut out.
I haven't touched it.
Oh, there you go.
Now it's back.
I think. Say something dirty.
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Jesus.
We had a wee bit of technical difficulty.
Maybe
there.
we didn't. I don't know. Maybe you just don't know how to run that damn machine over there.
I got it sorted.
So, yeah. So it's like, you not putting, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again. So
the idea here on social media, so that guys catch the drift, well, guys and gals, because we've got a whole host of people that are out there, like military spouses, men and women who are using 5-paragraph. We've got folks in the medical industry who are using 5-paragraph. That's on the insurance side. That's inside of healthcare as a whole. We have, we've got folks who are using it in franchises. We have folks who are using it in startups. So it's kind of all the way across the board. We have everybody from an entrepreneur who's thinking about maybe kind of sort of pursuing entrepreneurship, picking up 5-paragraph business plan, all the way up to chief suite executives who are saying, well, this is great. You know, I want to use this in order to achieve a certain status within our hospital system or achieve a higher quality of care or something along those lines. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to chat about this, is because on the tutorials, which are on 5paragraph.com, and you'll hear my beautiful voice on there, let me tell you what. But different music, very well done. The editing staff that works at Heroes Media Group also put it together on there.
Right.
And they did a great job. Dave's awesome. Anyway, so 5-paragraph business plan. It breaks down the same way that the operations order breaks down, if you're familiar with it in the military. So the acronym is SMEAC, S-M-E-A-C, SMEAC, right? And it's situation, mission, execution, admin, command, right? So the full verbiage is situation, mission, execution, administrative or administration level, logistics, sustainability. That's all within one paragraph, essentially. And then in the command paragraph, you have command, signal, and then you have control as far as how you're going to maintain operations overall. Those elements within the paragraphs just make up the paragraphs. There are other details that break down within those as far as the enemy and the friendly situation. And if you guys can hear it, Bennett is flipping through the book time now. But you've got the mission, the directives, the mission objective overall, and it breaks all down. But the whole point being is that you can break it into 5 paragraphs and write out a clear, concise plan that's about,
right.
5 to 10 pages is what it winds up boiling down to.
Depending.
And the reason why it's paragraphs, though, is because you have these 5 paragraphs that are within the plan that are different bulletized points. So people have a tendency to show us these 5-paragraph business plans, and it's got all of the bullet points in it, and it's fully filled out, and the whole 9 yards. And that is fantastic when you're writing your executive summary and you're trying to tell somebody and convey what your business plan is. It should literally just be 5 paragraphs. You can do that. It's not an executive summary. MET-TTSL is your executive summary, and that's found within the book too.
Uh-huh.
We use other acronyms like SALUTE, size, activity, location, unit, uniform, time, equipment. But other familiar within the Army and the Marine Corps, especially on the ground side. Because on the ground side, we were very much so entrepreneurial. We're intrapreneurial. Because we had the structure, and we were talking about Drucker.
Mm-hmm.
And how Drucker pushed for entrepreneurship.
Yes.
In a heavy way.
Mm-hmm.
I strongly believe that modern infantrymen are pushed towards entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think that it's something where, at this current moment in time, where we're talking about quality-based services, quality-based care, being agile, all of these other different things, that's small unit leadership. Mm-hmm. And when you're in the infantry, you have a mission that needs to be done, and everything meets to that point, essentially. And you've got to understand all of the other capacities that are supporting elements. Because if you're just like kill, 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 kill all of the time, and you don't realize that you've got all of these other assets that are at your fingertips or how to use them,
right?
It matters how you call a 9 line. Like if you're shaky as fuck on the radio calling a 9 line,
right,
you're not gonna get that bird, dude.
But
if you're like, I swear to God, I have done like Brimstone, this is Cheyenne. Come back, and you're like, you've got to slow down and just breathe it out before you wind up making that, radio transmission that you get what you're asking. It's almost like buck fever. You're so goddamn happy. And the reason why I say it that way is because you know what they can provide. You know the capabilities that they're telling you as far as an asset.
Oh, yeah.
And you know how to call for it appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
There is a protocol to it.
Yeah.
And so the idea being with 5-paragraph business plan in a modern business setting, you have a whole bunch of folks who really care very deeply about the mission that they're on. You've empowered them with the ability to accurately ask what they want of leadership in order to go and achieve success.
Yes.
That's what you're giving them. You're saying, hey, we're all going to use this process here. It's only 5 paragraphs. Anytime you want something from me, put it in this format, and that way we're all on the same page.
Mm-hmm. That's universal. Well, I mean, that's what you do on a mission.
Right.
And that's why every leader in the mission hierarchy has their own version of the 5-paragraph order that they go into with and add their little piece of the puzzle.
Right.
So that's what entrepreneurship means, because you're basically you're the master of your own little piece.
Right.
That's it. It's really
exactly
simple. It's really simple. And if people would stay in their fucking lanes, right, shit would usually run pretty well. The problem is too often people see, I mean, and you might be right, they might be fucking incompetent, but it's still not your place to fix their shit. If it's an adjacent unit, give them the chance, and then if they fuck up, then you fix it. But until then, nobody's ever going to learn shit until you allow them to do it.
Right.
Until you allow them to actually fail. Let them fucking work, man. Let them do it and fill out their part and stay in your fucking lane.
Right.
Shut the fuck up. Right?
Right.
And if people did that more often, shit might actually get done in fucking government or, places. Like, there would be so much less drama.
Right.
But I understand, but more often than not, there's like the fear of that person being incompetent. When now you're being ruled by something that you can't fucking control. So, yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, and the way that I look at it too is,
but this tool allows you to stay on task too, because you know what the fuck, it keeps you in the lane as long as you use it correctly.
Right. Well, on the flip side, the reason why folks are so passionate about that as far as stay in your lane is because that is their responsibility as well.
Right.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, as far as stay in your lane, it's because they're very protective of their own mission, because it's not just their ass, it's their responsibility. It's their whole thing. So if you're pointing out a defect that is occurring within their responsibility, and you yourself are handling it, and you're not talking to that leader on the same level, then they don't know what the hell is going on in their own squad. And that's your fault in all actuality. You need to talk with leadership on the same level, in the same terminology, in order to hash out what might be a problem within that squad.
Yes.
And then what are they going to do? They're going to talk to the team leader. And then the team leader is going to talk to the individual Lance Corporal or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing as far as in 5 paragraph. And the reason why I say it this way is because if you have a 12-man company, you have a squad-size company. If you have a 42-man size, and I'm talking TO, table of organization, if you have a TO platoon size, you have a 42-size company. And then if you actually have a company size, so how big of a company are you going to construct? How many employees are you going to have? Mm-hmm. How big of a 5-paragraph business plan are you going to put in there? What, an infantry battalion in the Marine Corps is what, like 1,200 people, something like that, including the support elements that make it up?
Shouldn't be that big, but it could be, I guess.
So let's say, for instance, you're going to have 1,000 employees. How many businesses are going to have 1,000 employees that are going to be out there? So if you wrote a battalion-size business plan, in all actuality, your business plan is going to be relatively simple, and for the most part, it's going to be delegating your authority to people that you view are responsible individuals who are there. So you're delegating your authority while maintaining overall responsibility of the operation. And then the guy below you is doing the same thing on the org chart. You know what I mean? It's a flat organization. You guys have cross communication. Don't get me wrong. But on the org chart, I'm responsible for this part.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's responsible for that part. Below him, so on and so forth. Below her, so on and so forth. And so wherever the chain of command lies, they're constructing a 5-paragraph business plan for an overarching section that they're responsible for.
And I think this is another thing about civilian companies that I think maybe if they adopted more of a organization chart, like a real one, that it might make their business more efficient. I mean, people want someone to give them direction.
Right.
Or yet, you could look at it another way. They want somebody to blame when somebody fucks up.
There you go.
Right? So look at it, whether you're cup half full or cup half empty guy, whichever one you want to look at, that's something that I see in modern American business, is that you lack a definitive org chart.
Right.
You know, CEO, then the C-suite, then the managers, and then the
Christmas tree,
the directors, bracket. And then and you know what? Seriously, you should put that shit on the fucking wall. Yeah. You should construct it just like they show you, like we have in the military, where you've got boom, boom, boom. Put that shit on a wall. And then people know, because it helps them stay in their lane. Again, It's about the lane. Seriously. Because too often now, how many of these new, like, work places do you see where it's almost like everybody's the boss? Like, nobody has a boss. We're all kind of we're just a big fucking team. That shit doesn't work. Right. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
You got to have leadership.
I mean, it might work in certain instances, but at the end of the day, it still comes down to there's got to be a leader. Right. And you'll have every CEO of a company that started out that way. It might work when you have 15 employees because, there's one guy who started the company. There's one leader. Right. But as soon as you get out to 100, 120, that shit doesn't work anymore. Right. So have that defined. Well, we don't have, but that defined matrix, that leadership matrix, because it gives people some sense of security, because it lets them know their place in the pecking order as well.
Well, and they need to know who to go to as far as a given problem as well.
And guidance and everything else. Right. Mentorship, whether it's mentorship, guidance, or, oh, dude, I fucked up. Right. Help me out of this fucking jam or whatever. Exactly. You know what I mean? Because that's just how shit works.
Well, and check out 5paragraph.com, folks, if you haven't already seen it. It's 5 like the number, paragraph.com. You can get the book. It's available now on Amazon. You can schedule a call with one of the advisors. We've got several other individuals with different industry backgrounds, business backgrounds, what have you. Go ahead, schedule some time on there. When you complete a call with one of our advisors, you're going to wind up getting a free workbook, and that's going to get you on your way. What we plan on doing with a lot of you guys who call us up, and it doesn't matter what type of business you have. Maybe you have a lifestyle business. Maybe you have an enterprise that you're running. We work with a whole host of folks. Now, we are not consultants. We are not business management, quote-unquote, consultants. We are advisors of how to implement the 5-paragraph business plan within your organization. All of the things that you need to familiarize yourself with 5-paragraph business plan are on 5paragraph.com for free. They are free. Free downloads, it's free template downloads, free phone call with us, free workbook and completing a phone call. Matter of fact, if you're listening to this episode right now and you want to redeem your own workbook because you're like, hey man, I got to get started on one of these things. Go to 5paragraph.com and it says redeem free workbook. Type in hashtag 5P as in Papa or paragraph, hashtag 5P at Cigars and C. Go ahead, type in hashtag 5P at Cigars and C. And you folks are going to get a free workbook. When you've got that workbook, it's got more guidance than what the than what the template has. And the reason for that is because the template will get you on your way and you can get started, but the workbook provides a little bit more as far as the MET-T TSL and getting your MET-T TSL plugged in. That's mission, enemy, team and support, terrain and weather, time, space, logistics. Mission is what you plan on doing, or essentially how you plan on doing something in order to accomplish what. The enemy is the situation paragraph, but you're listing out a salute report. You're doing a market analysis, an industry scope analysis, frankly. You can go on like IBIS World, which is great, because then you get an industry scope, and then you can figure out your market share based upon whatever system your overall organization.
And one other thing, when you say enemy, this is something I always love to clarify too. The enemy isn't your competition for the most part. The enemy is your market. It's your customers. It's your, that's your enemy. Your enemy is not your competition. Too often in business, people, and it's their downfall almost every time, people focus on, or I should say businesses focus on their competition, which is, I mean, of course you have to know what your competition's doing,
a SWOT analysis.
but they're not your enemy. They're your, the enemy is the market. The enemy is the customer, because that's who you want to defeat. You don't necessarily want to defeat your competition. It's that need. That's the competition. And how this is something else. It's just like, if you want something to really focus on what's going to make them buy your product, not your competition, which has nothing to do with your competition. It's got to do with how the fuck can you do your service or your product or make your product better. Period. Right. That's the only reason you ever need to look at your competition, is what are they doing? And I'm not saying mimic it, but it's one of those things, you have to make yourself more attractive. That's it.
See where they're failing so that you can, because your competitor is trying to snuff out the same need that you're
their enemy is the same.
So if their enemy is thirst, let's say, for an easy example, and they're providing water, and they're doing so with a different value proposition than somebody else is, maybe they missed a gap. Maybe there's something in there.
A niche, a gap.
Exactly.
But also with that, the caveat being that you cannot make everyone happy.
Right.
So don't try, because I don't remember the saying, but it's basically, if you try to make everyone your customer, no one's your customer.
Right.
So,
well, and we talked about this before, as far as, let's say you're in a solid industry, you're in a good market, but the market itself, let's say, for instance, is big, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how can I possibly make entrance into this huge market that I found? And you've got to land within a given population and then expand outside
it's
of
that. Red Sea, Blue Sea theory, but we're not going to get into that because that's a whole nother fucking show. But anyway.
Well, and so the idea with MET-T TSL is, in the enemy, you're doing size, activity, location, unit, or uniform. Unit being the whole population of people that need your given good product or service. Uniform, you're creating an avatar for your ideal customer, for who you would like to sell to, or who you're targeting to be able to sell to or provide to, whatever the case may be.
Which is a really important part of the process. Just saying.
Right. Market realization. And it can be done multiple times over. I mean, that's the reason why salute reports are meant to be quick, and they're meant to be briefed, meaning the intention of a 5-paragraph business plan, the intention of MET-T TSL or a salute report, is all of those are meant for someone to stand up and speak to a group about what they've found, done, an action that was performed, people that they've seen in the field. So a salute report is typically done over the radio back over to a higher echelon, so that way they have real-time intelligence of what's happening on the battlefield. So anyway, in team and support, you're going through and you're fleshing out what potentially a company you would like to emulate looks like. What are some of the potential companies that are competitors out in the environment that you would like to go and be a part of, as far as a market that you would like to enter into, and then what are some of the supporting adjacent units that you're working with, some of the supporting elements that are out there who can help you out. And those are business development relationships. And that's primarily what you and I focus in, is business development.
Yep, for sure.
And it's, there's idea generation, but that's one thing where you sit around and more brains that are there are just better than one, and you can pull ideas out of the ether. So we really like going through and working with entrepreneurs who are saying, hey, I've hit this, I'm making money, I'm starting to generate cash flow, things are working out, but what I've got to do is figure out not necessarily protocol, but how can I empower leaders, but at the same time, we're all on that same page. We're all in the same scope. So you were talking about the task organization.
Mm-hmm.
People need to know how the reporting structure is within their chain of command, but they need to know how to report. So here's the 5 paragraphs that we all talk in, so that we know how to communicate with one another.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons why I met TTSL.
I mean, I literally have that shit on like a Post-it note written on my computer.
SMEAC? Yeah. See,
just because it helps me understand, because you know what? And here's the funny part. So we do everything in business nowadays, it seems like, is emails, because they're trackable, traceable, and everything else. Like everybody wants it to say, oh, see, I have it. I did send it to you. So you have plausible deniability. You have whatever. It's not my fault. Right.
Right.
So every time I write an email out to a team or to my boss or whatever, I think SMEAC, and I literally write in that kind of thing. I figure out exactly what exactly needs to be said because of that. And it's just a reminder. And it never goes wrong that way because it's effective communication. You know how many times within that bulk group text, my boss will send back to an individual, but she'll reply to all versus whatever. Or something. Sometimes it sneaks out like that, where you see her asking people questions. Who does she never ask a fucking question to? This guy. They never have to come back because I give them a complete fucking answer. It's not, I'm just saying. It's just an effective tool, folks. That's all.
Well, and
shit works.
And so we said that we were going to talk about how SMEAC actually breaks down. So if you write out SMEAC, let's say, for instance, across your paper in all capital letters, and you draw a line coming out of execution, all of your delegation comes out of that execution paragraph. You're tasking out team leaders. You're not directly tasking out individuals, unless your company happens to be that small. Let's say you've got 4 or 5 people, and really you're just tasking out individuals, then it comes out of that execution paragraph, and then they know what's needed or what is necessary for them in order to complete the mission. Let's say your organization's bigger than that. That line drawing out of it then breaks up into multiple. Let's say you have 3 directors, for instance. Each one of them have a SMEAC. Out of their E is another line that breaks up into another 3, let's say, for instance. So very quickly you can see how it exponentially grows on top of itself as far as the delegation all the way through the different teams. So you've got, the folks that I work with who are on the chief suite. I mean, my goodness, they have like 20 department heads that they're talking with. It's insane across a massive system. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how are we going to be able to delegate authority while maintaining responsibility of this overall mission? Well, they send the plan all the way down, action is provided, and then they debrief that same plan. They just use the same plan all the way back up. Now, notice how I stopped in the middle of Met TTSL with team and support. The reason for it is because you highlight in there how you're actually going to communicate with folks. So we're going to do a 5-paragraph business plan that goes all the way down to the lowest man. We're going to debrief in that format coming back up. But then afterwards, we'll provide after action reports. And that's just a topic, discussion, recommendation. You're just saying, here's the topic I want to bring up. Here's my discussionary thoughts. And then here's what I recommend we do about it. You compile your after-action reviews, and then you mitigate risk all the way back up the chain. So it's something that, folks need to get across as far as it works both ways. The intention of the 5-paragraph business plan, and frankly the op order in the military, is to remain agile, to put the to put the power in the hands of the small unit leader, and to be able to go back and forth within that SMEAC format. So, I mean, this is something where it's like, I geek out on this type of shit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does.
He's sitting here looking at me like I'm a fucking nerd. It's one of those things.
You are a fucking nerd.
But
nerdy nerd.
The whole idea is it's action oriented, and it allows people to communicate in a flat sense.
Yep.
So you still have a structure. You still have a delegative structure that you go through. But you can communicate very concisely with one another. So let's say, for instance, you're the guy or gal who's going out in the truck every day, out into the field, and you realize, hey, this is messed up. You know what? I'm going to bring this up to my chain of command. And this is something that we had in the Marine Corps, is you could bring it up to, let's say, for instance, your platoon commander. If your platoon commander didn't do anything, 9 times out of 10 in a theater of war, request mass didn't really exist. You just went and talked to your company commander. It wasn't a big deal.
Right.
And then you went and talked to your battalion commander. And people could be pissed. That doesn't fucking matter. Lives are at stake. I don't care if you're pissed at me. You can suck it. Kind of a deal. But
yes, with
this, the whole idea being is, let's say you've got an idea. You want to put something, you want to implement it. You have the ability to put together the 5-paragraph business plan on how you could do better with it. And then you yourself take it up the chain of command. You yourself, not like, hey, that's a great idea. Let me run this by the bosses for you. No, you yourself take it up the chain of command, right? Like, hey, sir, I'm bringing this to your attention, but I want you to know I've already emailed the company commander. What? Yeah. So, like, you'll be made, when he asks, are you aware of this? Yeah, you are. Because I'm making you aware of it, because then I've emailed him. Mm-hmm. So that's happening. So like, oh man, it's a dirty trick, but it is something that is totally within the bounds of the rules. That I've totally done that to a platoon commander.
Right.
Like, hey sir, I'm showing you this right now, but like, I've already emailed higher about this.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, well, yeah. So, or like, I've sent intel to G2 about foreign weapons, and they're like, what the fuck? You've got to run that through us. And I'm like, no, actually, matter of fact, you don't hold any ability whatsoever, because none of you are foreign weapons instructors. You wouldn't, what are you fucking talking about? That's like saying that a linguist has to send something through you first. Like, you don't even know what the fuck this gun is.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? I was glad I did that too, because that intel helped. That was one of those things, man. It's like, dude, I'm one of those people where I'm totally ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, big time.
Don't beg for permission.
Yeah.
Just go and do it. And it's like, well, because what are they going to do when it's done?
Well, it's don't beg, or beg for forgiveness, don't ask for permission.
I think it's the other way. I think it's ask for forgiveness, don't beg for permission.
Maybe.
Whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
Whatever.
Fuck it. Just smile and nod and do
what we're talking about. Just do the shit you need to do.
Well, and that's cool though. If you want an organization that is initiative based, 5-paragraph business plan is exactly what you need. And that's because that's what folks kept asking us for at speaking engagements and everything else. Oh, come in and talk about leadership. Like what? Like, your values and principles and stuff. I'm like, how in the fuck does that even compute? You know what I mean? You can't get boot camp.
No, you can't.
This is how we actually got things done.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap up my TTSL. Terrain and weather is the seasonality effects on your business. It has ebbs and flows. It just does. Like, you guys don't listen to Cigars and Sea Stories on the weekend. We get that.
Our numbers show it.
Duh. So
we know when you listen.
It's totally cool. You guys are awesome still. It's totally fine. And then you have, so terrain and weather is the seasonality effects, but it's also the civil terrain. So what are some of the other people that are not your customers that you're going to have to deal with along the way? Is there a heavy foot traffic presence that you need to be able to provide? So you're going to make a kiosk in the mall, let's say, for instance, which leads into space. Okay, you're going to do a kiosk in the mall. What do you need space-wise in order to be able to provide your good product service, whatever it is? And then what are the logistics that are associated with turning that into a reality? Mm-hmm. So that's MET-TSL. So you do MET-TSL in the beginning of the workbook, and then you fill out the template, the 5-paragraph business plan template, which is in the workbook. And basically the workbook, it's got kind of what to fill in bullet point wise, and then it's got free and clear space for you to be able to fill that stuff in. So it kind of helps you through some of these different elements in, quickly learning it. But we also provide other services. We provide an introductory executive level service. That's an in-house advisory package that we do. There is a charge base on that. That's one of the ways that we make money around here is we go in and we help businesses as advisors. So typically we do 5-hour sessions with folks, and that can be executive level. Just let's say, for instance, you want to talk as a C-suite, totally fine. We do that a lot. Let's say, for instance, you want us to come in and do a workshop. Absolutely. We have different levels as far as 20 people within a workshop. You can have up to 20, and then it hits a certain threshold. And then you can have up to 100. And then you have, we don't care. You can put 1,000 people in front of us, and we'll wind up kicking a workshop. So, but there is a pricing structure for all of those things. If you're interested in it, by all means, get in touch with us. Shoot us an email. You can contact us at contact@cigarsandseastories.com. That's our email. It's just contact@cigarsandseastories.com. Or you can go through 5paragraph.com. You can schedule a call with one of our advisors. So whatever you guys want to do, we're always here for you. Get in touch with us. You got a factoid for these guys? You got anything? Really. What do you got?
Oh, since we want you to do the Kilroy.
Yep.
I think we kind of talked about it in a previous episode, but I've there it is. So basically the Kilroy thing, if you don't know what it is, look at our Instagram or even our Facebook. It shows you. It's basically the little dude that has his nose over the edge of a book or a thing, and it's the Kilroy was here, which is basically a figure like a meme before there was social media, right. Kind of, and it was popularized in World War II, and guys drew it. I guess you could call it graffiti at that point.
Right.
Drew it all over everything overseas and throughout the Pacific and throughout Europe. It was just kind of a joke. Kilroy was here. So
we're bringing it back.
Yeah. Check it out. Go to Wikipedia, whatever.
Right.
Type Kilroy was here in Google, and it'll give you a really good breakdown of it. And it's just kind of cool. It's a military thing. Kind of went to the wayside in the 50s after Korea, but there's stories of guys in Vietnam even doing it. So
we did everywhere. A couple in Ramadi.
Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah.
Just kind of cool. Just check it out. But that's kind of what we're doing with the 5-paragraph business plan.
I did one in an alleyway, right? Just on somebody's wall kind of a deal. Oh, man.
So we're actually asking you to do a virtual.
Yeah. Just snap a selfie with a book held in front of your face under your nose.
And we'll put a picture. We'll put a picture in the show notes. So
there you go.
Check it out.
Kilroy was here. 5-paragraph business plan. Buy it now on Amazon. Thanks, folks. Thanks for listening to another episode of Cigars and Sea Stories. Thank you to the McPherson Marketing Group for creating an awesome cover. And when you get the book in your hands, I want you to check out the cover. Feel it's like My wife likes it because it's got a really nice texture and it flips really well.
Yeah.
It lays out flat.
Good smooth.
It's 8 by 10.5 or 8 by 11.
8 by 11. 8.5 by 11.
And I'm going to be honest with you, folks.
Sheet of paper.
When we were done with this, I slapped it down on the kitchen table and went, fuck. We created an MCI. We did.
Basically.
It's an MCI.
It totally is.
It's basically an MCI.
Should have made the cover red.
I thought about it,
It would
too.
have been looked just like an MCI.
I thought about it, yeah. But,
It is
anyway,
what it is.
pick it up right now on Amazon.
Maybe the second edition.
Right? Maybe one of them out there. We'll do an MCI for the Marine Corps.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. We're just throwing it out there. Huge thank you to Spartan Media, who has helped out as far as with the website. Heroes Media Group, our network, and our editing staff over there. They're freaking awesome. And of course, veteranslist.us. Get 50% off. That's half off a featured membership on veteranslist.us. Get registered as a certified veteran-owned business, in the eyes of the public that are out there, because those guys do a good job about making sure that you're not shitbags. So go over there and check out veteranslist.us. You can get a 50% off featured membership by entering discount code CIGARSandC. That's discount code CIGARSandC, which is the same as our social media handle. Follow us across the board, Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. Thanks so much for listening. Take care, be well, and on that note, we cue the music.